So, so I guess first things first. Hi, everybody. So I'm Cynthia Jacobs. I am working as a research coordinator with the Office of African American Affairs, and this is our official launch to our data hub that we have on our website. And I'm really excited about just being able to show it to you guys if you haven't seen it yet and answer any questions you might have. And also just kind of, generate some discussion around data related things. Because I know data can be kind of tricky sometimes. So I'm glad you guys are here. And your input is really awesomely welcomed. Your feedback, whatever you bring into the table, like I definitely want to hear all of it. Like this is an open space and a safe space for that. So please feel free to share however you'd like to share. Um, I also want to shout out a couple of my team members who are here with us. So Devin Williams is our outreach coordinator and our tech guy. You see by the headphones, like that's an indicator right there. He holds us down. And then we have Tammy Watson, who is our executive assistant and really like the backbone of the group because we can't do much without her. I'm so glad that they're here with me. And I'll also shout out who's not here with us in person, but Chaslyn Wins, who's one of our other outreach coordinators, and our executive director, Amy Whitfield. And hopefully I can say this. Can I mention Larry? We may have another team member, so I will just shout him out. Larry Broxton may be joining our team as well as our deputy director. So we will just hope that all goes well with that. So that's the OAAA team. And a special shout out, as always, to Jay Blackwell at Umoja and Emma.
Woo!
We appreciate you being our co-sponsor for this event. And just being so open and supportive of this project and all of us doing this work together. So I really appreciate you for that. And as well, providing our wonderful raffle giveaways. So I really appreciate it.
Hey, it's good to hang around with the best.
Well, thank you. So I'm so glad that everyone's here. So really quick, I'll just give you like a quick rundown of our like order of events. And so one of the first things I wanted to do was kind of share a discussion topic, and so that we can just kind of generate some conversation around it and just have everyone, share whatever it is that they like to share around that particular topic. So depending on if we get some more people between now and say, as we start the conversation, we'll just kind of go with the flow because we could do breakout rooms and we can all stay here. So since it's a small group right now, we'll just hang out here. And so then we would take a 5-minute break if we need to. And then I will do like a quick demo of the data hub, just so that you guys can see what it looks like if you haven't tried it out already. And we'll put a link to the data hub page in the chat as well. So if you would like to pull it up on your laptop and just kind of follow it along or just check it out as I'm going through it, you're definitely welcome to do that. And then from there, I will answer like any questions you guys have. And then we'll just kind of check in and see how everybody feels and about time and that kind of thing. So if everyone's ready to wrap, then we can just wrap it there and do our raffle and everything. So that's like the order of events we got going on. And so getting into the first topic of discussion, one of the things I really wanted to ask people to share about were your sentiments or your feelings like about data. And so, and feel free to share as much as you like or as little as you like, but really just kind of wanting to get a sense of, what your thoughts are about it, kind of your perceptions about data, whether it's how it's used or your own personal experience with it. And so I'll open it up now to everyone in the room. So whomever would like to share. I'm here.
Can you please walk us through what a data hub is so us old folks can kind of understand exactly what you young folks have come up with this new form of language?
I don't know who you're calling old, but
I'm like, wait, that might be all of us on
I
this.
see a lot of gray faces.
But you know what? I tell you what, I will actually go ahead and pull up the data hub now, and I'll have it ready. And if you'd like to see it, then I can show you. But basically what the data hub is, what we've created is like a repository of what are called dashboards. And so you may be familiar with that with some websites, but basically the dashboard houses different pieces of information. So different pieces of data information in addition to a map. And so the pieces of information that are shown are correlated to the map. So as like a creator of the dashboard, I'm able to add things to the map and then extrapolate different pieces of data to show based on the map. So maybe it might be easier for you to see it. So I can just pull it up now and I'll share my screen. And thank you for that question. Okay, so let's make it big. So this is the OAAA Data Hub page. And I'm just gonna copy the link real quick and I'm gonna pop it in the chat. Okay. And so this is the link where I am. And so you can see that, so this is our landing page. So when you come to the OAAA site, you know, you can see all the different tabs here. And so Data Hub has its own tab. And then you can go directly to one of the dashboards, or you can click the word Data Hub here, which is what I did, and that brings you here to the landing page. And so on the page, you can see that we have 4 dashboards for different areas. So we're looking at chronic disease, but it actually will end up encompassing health in totality. But since this is, we're launching it, but you know, I still feel like it's still in very much a developmental phase. So we're still building on it. We're still gonna add to it. We're still gonna make it like as robust as we and comprehensive as we possibly can. So there will definitely be more to come. So the things that you see here are kind of just to get us started with introducing this tool and getting the community, I guess, comfortable and hopefully acclimated to being able to navigate it and feeling comfortable in using it on your own. So we have chronic disease rates, economic indicators, education, and population. So population will pretty much be kind of general info, general demographics typically. So I can start with chronic disease and pop up. So this takes us right to the page. And so Ned, this is what the dashboard looks like. And so we see like the map here on the right. And these are just different pieces of data that I pulled from the data table that the map is based off of. And then I was able to also create charts and graphs as well. So these will probably change over time and evolve as we all kind of add more input and just really develop it more. But the beauty of it is that it's interactive. And so when we, actually, you know what? Let me grab my mouse. 1 second. Okay, so so I have my mouse here now. And so what happens is that we are able to actually link zooming in and out of the map to the data changing. And so that's a function of this particular, like these dashboards that we can implement. And so as you zoom in, you can see the numbers shift a little bit. And so you can actually do like a scroll in zoom with your mouse. That's one way to do it. You can also use the magnifying glass here to put in a specific address if you want to look at a particular area. We can also look at the legend here, which tells us what these symbols mean, like what the colors mean. And here we're showing the rate per 100,000 of chronic disease deaths for Black folks. And this is between the years of 2008 and 2017. And so we can see the color grid here. So that gives you an idea of which areas are high. So basically, which areas have the most number of people out of 100, like per 100,000, who have a recorded death that's related to a chronic disease. So we're talking about like heart disease, strokes, yes, like heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, diseases of that nature. And we can close that, and we can also click onto an area, and we have a pop-up here that highlights information as well. So that's something you can also take a closer look at. And let's see. And then the last piece about this that's really cool too is that this little button here, this little stack icon, it's different layers. And so these layers are different pieces of data that we can check on or check off. So the one that I had checked was for chronic disease, and that's in total, so all the diseases. And we have layers available that are broken out by heart disease, stroke, COPD, et cetera, et cetera. So you also have the option of choosing different layers to view individually on this particular map. And so, and then if you look below, down here at the bottom, if you can follow my cursor, where we have the tabs, I was able to also stack a few more maps. So they won't be connected to the data that you see here changing, but they give you like another perspective. So these are breast and cervical cancer rates, and everything here, we're like, in terms of putting the data together, it's focused on African Americans only. So any data that we have, it's highlighted towards our community. And so we have multiple maps here. And I have a map that's in progress. And so that would probably be happening as well, you know. So yeah. So I don't know if that was, I don't know.
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
I like the cumulative nature, like COPD, cardiovascular, hypertension. Suppose there's something there that we don't see. An instance is smoking, tobacco use, and if there's any, if there were data on that, would we be able to like contact you and say, hey, do you have any number or any updates that are smoking related?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's the other part of this too, is that like the office is definitely opening up to being like receiving those kinds of questions and inquiries about what's available. And we can definitely investigate to see like, okay, do we have any data, you know, on that particular area? And then the second part of that would be to see whether or not it's something that could at least be disaggregated by race, to see if we could highlight the African American Black community specifically. So yes, thank you for that question. So I want, you know, folks to feel comfortable and asking about anything, you know, because the Data Hub is really gonna go through some phases, right? And some growing and that kind of thing, and some evolving. And so that's having those kinds of questions and inquiries is also part of making it more robust, making it more accessible, and just for us having a resource and tool that has as much information as we can possibly implement into it. So definitely excited about and it may end up where we may have to do some of our own data collection within our own community to actually add another layer of nuance to some of these existing areas that we have here, since most of the data that's collected by like these larger agencies are just kind of restricted to like the 5 racial buckets. And so everybody kind of falls into the Black African-American one. But yeah, we definitely would like to really begin to be able to start to disaggregate data amongst our own community as well. So yeah, so hopefully that was helpful, and I'll go ahead and stop share. And I'm going to kick it back to you guys. So in terms of your feelings and thoughts about data, is there anything you guys would like to share?
I have a question about how it's used, the causes of 2 things. One is my understanding that pancreatic cancer is disproportionately high in New Mexico, period. And do African-American people or African descended people also have a high, I guess, just bringing it down to the various kinds of cancers, but that one in particular, we use it, right? Why are people, I mean, some things are obvious, but why are people getting certain things and what are we doing about it? Because that's how the data is used to be preventative, or what's it for?
Yeah, so
And,
that's
to
really good
piggyback
question.
off of her, question, I wanted to know as
Yeah.
well, where are the liquor stores and the exercise facilities or gyms in relation to these communities of color? And if there are a certain amount per capita based on a certain distance, like there's the closest gym is 100 miles from this Black community, or this where you're showing these demographics, so that these kind of pancreatic cancers or whatever diseases, we can do something about it based on having those facilities available for these types of people to get out of these kind of situations.
Yeah, that's really great. So, and hopefully I'll try to answer both of you guys' questions. So Ned, I'll start with you, and then Karen, if it's okay, I'll circle back to you if that's all right. So in terms of like information about like locations of liquor stores and things like that, like those are layers that can definitely be added. And so, which is why it's great that we're having this conversation, because it helps to give me a sense of what you guys are looking to see when you actually do engage with these maps. And so it's great to hear that, because there are other things that, I'm looking forward to adding as well, in terms of like grocery stores, anything related to like data on SNAP benefits, just different pieces of data like that, liquor stores as well. And I know we also have some data on like traffic accidents and fatalities. And so these are like elements of data that I'm definitely looking forward to kind of folding in. And then because what we're talking about is so kind of point specific, like location specific, these are really good, because then you can actually lay them over top of, like, say, a population map, for example, right? Or you could overlay a layer like that over rates of chronic disease, whichever it is. And so for me, that's something where I'm like, okay, good. So I'm going to make sure to add these layers to these maps so that you can have those as choices to be able to choose from, because you are able to toggle on and off and have multiple layers of data to look at one time. So those things are definitely coming. And I would really encourage you, please, like, reach out to our office and let us know what kinds of things you would like to see. And as you navigate through the dashboard and kind of play around with it, please, I would really love to hear what some of the things that you would like to see. And I am definitely taking note of what I hear tonight, so I can go back, make updates, and then kind of keep it going and keep adding things that you guys are bringing to the table for us. So I really appreciate that. And Karen, okay, so I think I remember your question, but correct me if I get off track. But so in terms of, we're talking about pancreatic disease, pancreatic cancer, and you were saying that it's a high incident of that particular disease among Blacks in New Mexico. And so also, oh, yeah.
It's actually high in New Mexico, period. And I want to know if it's impacting us in the same way that it's impacting other people. It's just really high in New Mexico.
Okay. And, you know, and with something like that, so what we could do is actually say with, I don't know if you guys, when you guys remember seeing the dashboard, like how there are charts on the side, that's something where I could make sure to like see if we have data on pancreatic cancer rates, right? Can definitely look into that. And then if we do create a layer, so like do the whole data set stuff, which, you know, we'll go into in like training sessions, but to actually create you guys to make available for you, and then fold in like national numbers, national data, right? So then that's something where, as one of those charts, it can be set off to the side to compare our rates of pancreatic cancer in New Mexico specifically with what's happening with other Black folks, or maybe the total of what's going on in the rest of the nation, depending on how the data has actually been collected. And so it sounds like that's something you would like to see.
I'm interested. I mean, when I found out that pancreatic cancer is high, I've known several people who died from it really young, like in their 30s.
Okay.
So, you know, there's something about New Mexico that's, I've had doctors, practitioners tell me about this. So I'm interested, I'm curious about it. And also the other part is, what do we do with this? Is this going to, the office will then focus on education and preventive care and health and blah, 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 right?
Yeah, all those things. And you know what? And that's interesting because in Dev and Tammy, okay, y'all help me with this because I'm always like, we can do everything. But that being said, which is like, you know, we do have, as a state office, certain limitations, right? And kind of boundaries around what we are actually able to do. And also given the size of our office, you know, there are some like manpower limitations, but the office is definitely open to partnering with community groups to be able to help support like any deep dives or studies that organizations would like to do around these areas to start to address and maybe understand, right? Because it sounds like there's not a lot of information out there about this. So coupled with more data and just, I guess, more in-depth study into what could be the potential causes of this for us specifically, like whether it's something environmental, is it something in our water? That can definitely be something, I think, where the office can partner with other organizations who will be able to actually take that on and be able to conduct such a study, and we can provide supporting resources. So Devin, Tammy, did I do a good job with that?
I would also like, if you don't mind, I'd like to also see something on the website that promotes exercise, and maybe have something where you show, particularly, we had a group of 2 Black, I guess they were instructors or health coordinators or what do you call it, personal trainers, and just show people exercising and doing exercises on a daily basis on the website. I mean, a lot of the issues we're talking about with health and wellness and you know, pancreatic cancer, a lot of these things are preventative based on, you know, people's health, and diet and exercise are the 2 primary things, and having those on the website of the OAAA at all times, I think would be healthy for people to see. And also, you know, it would save on the manpower. That's just an idea that I was just thinking of as I was listening to you guys talk.
Okay, thank you. So Tammy and Devin, they're our website team. So I'm gonna kick this over to you guys.
Yeah, so when it comes to the website, we definitely have the capacity to put that stuff on, but we just have to be careful about making sure we have the right information. And so that will go into consulting a trainer, and if that is something that we're looking at, having essentially like them provide the training and provide the exercises, which that would merit like a deeper conversation and a lot more planning. But we definitely have resources that we put on the website, such as our newsletter, and we provide specifically health resources in our newsletters. And as we continue to learn a little bit more about what's going on currently and what's very important to the Black community, we'll continue to provide resources, articles, and other pieces to reference, just as our ability to provide that support in terms of health.
Tammy, did you have anything to add?
Well, Devin pretty much covered everything. So again, we do have to be very careful, like he said, with what we put on there to make sure that the accurate information is being put on. But I do like that idea, and I do think that that's something that we can look at in the future, definitely. So we'll certainly keep that in mind and look into that. And to Karen, I did not know that pancreatic cancer was at a higher rate in New Mexico. I do know I have 3 friends actually that are suffering from that in the African American community. But what I think is interesting with you saying that is there is no treatment in New Mexico for that. They all have to go out of state.
Oh, wow.
And that's, I know 2 of them go to the Mayo Clinic, I believe in Denver. I'm not sure where the other one goes, but.
And thinking about what Ned was saying, and maybe because reading it, we'd be all reading and go, yeah, I'm going to exercise next Thursday, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so if there are things that could be on the website, I'm thinking of Phyllis Hubbard off the top of my head. She doesn't live here anymore, but she used to live here. And she has really some amazing Qigong, like specific, like for the liver, for the kidneys, for the this, just for strengthening. And if those could be their Qigong, Tai Chi, whatever regular kinds of, I don't know regular kind of exercises are called, but weights and all of that. If there could be videos where people can just click in and see, do this in the morning, do breath work, do whatever, so that they don't have to read it, they can see it and just do 5 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever makes them happy. Just the interactiveness of the site and maybe have some nutrition. I mean, nutrition is, everybody's got their own idea of what nutrition is, but maybe have different people like doing keto, doing regular, intermittent fasting, have experts do a presentation and talk about the different kinds of things and have that so that it's stable and it's online and it's useful to people. Just again.
Yes, that's a great idea. The interactive part, I really like that you mentioned. And like you said, it's only a few minutes, 5 minutes. And then, like you said, just have examples of different diets and different, like you said, people have their own ideas on nutrition and, just, you don't necessarily tell them this is exactly what you need to do, but you give them, just options in order to be healthy. And the interactive exercising is, like you said, it only takes a few minutes. And it goes a long way for a lot of people who've never really taken exercise as a big part of their lives. So it would really help a lot, I think, to people with chronic illnesses that are trying to look for resources to help them in a very small way. And, just to put disclaimers up there that it kind of explain you need to stretch and warm up and talk to your doctor as well. And you cover yourself that way.
Yeah, I'm thrilled because that's exactly what we have on our website. And we got around some of the legal issues by making sure that we were able to post more than one practitioner doing more than one type of things. One thing that government agencies always have to be aware of is like, are we endorsing somebody? Are we endorsing something? Does it cost? Does it not cost? Well, if you're endorsing them, why don't you endorse me? So one way to get around that is by having at least 3 or 4 different options that are available for folks to choose from. And I think Ned is correct. Whatever you choose, they have to be thorough in saying, this is how you warm up. This is what it takes. These are some of the concerns that have to be addressed. But that really is a great way if there were like Black agencies that are doing things that are physical and they wanted to share that, that would be a way to, again, get the community to sponsor OAAA more by saying, hey, this is what we do and this is something that we would like to be able to give back or share.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. Anybody else?
No, I think I'm good on that. I did want to mention that Dr. Taylor doesn't have access to the chat, but she did have a question, and her question is, how is African American defined? For example, the subpopulation of Black people who trace roots back to slavery versus Black people is someone from multiple cultures, immigrated, emigrated to the US. Like, what does it look like in terms of distinguishing those different sets of African Americans in New Mexico?
That's a really great question. And I'm not sure that I'm qualified to answer that because I'm not sure how we haven't really talked about this at OAAA. So maybe if you guys, I don't know if you guys have ever talked about this and like what these definitions kind of mean. Oh, and Jay has. So, hey,
Yeah,
if you,
of course, yeah,
Mhm.
according to the federal government, the federal government sets these demographic titles, labels. And because they are, like, you'll notice that they are, they span the census, they span states, they span schools, they span districts. That catch-all phrase does have a definition, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what New Mexico wants to go by. And in fact, one of the real concerns that I have had and continue to have is exactly how do we talk about our community? Because, like, I'm from North Carolina, Cynthia's from somewhere else, Karen, I'm not sure where you are from, but are you from here? So it's the Bronx, right? So it's like, knowing that we are a complex, we are not a monochrome community. We are complex, we are diverse, and hopefully because of this data hub, we'll be able to say, well, that's some of us, but that's not all of us. And it's a great place to grow from.
yeah.
African descended probably can't work because that would, like, the Caribbean and African people who are here and people who are from throughout the diaspora or African diasporic people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always find that to be interesting and I think simultaneously challenging, because if we're like defining or I guess looking to encapsulate our entire community, right? I feel like that's also a question of us folding in our, like immigrant, African immigrant brothers and sisters as well. And so then how do we sort of name this? How do we make space for everyone who's a part of the community of people who look a lot like us? I can't, So yeah, I don't know if at OAAA, if you guys have like had these kinds of conversations and talked about this a little bit.
Not that I'm aware of since I've been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Podcast.
I know, we're like, it's gonna be a podcast topic now. Yeah, so I'm really glad Dr. Lisa brought that up, because it is, because even when just kind of disseminating information about the data hub and just other things that we're doing, like in my mind, I'm like, I'm thinking of everyone, right? And I've had friends through grad school who were from, different African countries. And they're very surprised when they come here and then all of a sudden they're just Black, right? And so then it's like, whoa, what is this, And so how do we really, I think, make sure that I guess the work that we do is also like open and welcoming to them as well. Because yeah, I feel like if we're going to disaggregate data for, I don't know how we may call it, but say if we say people of African ancestry, then that's going to include, folks from all different aspects of that connection. So
You also run into that with like white South Africans who will say they are of African ancestry, so
Right.
it's we're a little complicated, folks.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so, and I've heard about that as well in terms, especially when it comes to African American, and then they're like, oh yeah, well, I'm South African, and it's like, by nationality.
Caribbean. Yeah. So the diaspora thing, I don't know if we can use it for government purposes, but that does kind of encompass everyone, wherever we are.
Wherever we've come from, or our ancestors have come from, because
I guess another concern that I have is that a lot of this data is pre-pandemic. And so, it is going to give us a different picture than when we start looking at some of these same data points after the pandemic. And we know that that's not going to happen until later this year or next year.
Possibly.
So yeah, so how, so I guess, what is this going to show us? This is just going to show us of what it used to be like, and then we can like keep track of where we're headed.
Yeah, I think that's probably, I would say that maybe the best approach to take at this particular juncture, until say such time as if these larger agencies who do report out data will be able to actually capture what has happened to folks, and how things have shifted during the pandemic. Then yeah, it's one of those things where like during creating the maps through NMCDC, we do our best to try to provide the most up-to-date data that's available to us and the sources that we have access to. And so, yeah, it's really kind of like a waiting game. Like we can see, where we were and just kind of note like, okay, this was an issue. But then maybe another part of that too is to bring what data we do have into various conversations, planning meetings and different kinds of things, and really start to ask folks, okay, so what are you seeing now compared to what we're seeing like on this map or in this data? Does this feel different? How so? What do you feel has changed? And it may just have to be ongoing conversation probably until we can get to a point where we can actually look more largely at the numbers that are able to be collected. So yeah, it's definitely like a data waiting game for sure.
I have a question. There are some organizations that are really focused on the health disparities among, in our community. Would they have more current data, do you think? Because they're really focused on what's going on now, what's happened, particularly during the pandemic, and that might be another, or do you have to use a particular government data source for creating this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm not closely familiar with those particular organizations to know maybe how they get their data. So just based on the understanding I have now, I'm imagining and I'm basically speculating that they would go to the same sources or similar sources that we are, but then maybe they may be doing their own data collection in certain
I think
instances.
it's their own because they're really focused on what's not happening in our community and why. And well, basically systematic racism that's keeping it that way. So they are focused on a whole different approach to what's going on.
Mhm. So yeah, I mean, if you
I'll see if I
are,
can.
yeah, share those with us for sure. You have my email. Yeah, shoot them over to me because I was, huh?
I didn't hear you. I was trying to listen.
Oh, I said, yeah, I said, you have my email. So if you don't mind
Oh, yeah.
shooting those over to me, I would love to take a look at their sites and get more insight into what information they have and yeah, be able to kind of reverse engineer or backtrack into, okay, so what sources are they using to see, or if they're doing their own, like that's always a great opportunity to learn about another organization that's doing that kind of work, because that's definitely where we want to start to move this particular like tool and resource. So the more partners, the better, you know, and that'll also help, I think, cover as many facets of our community as possible as well. So, because it's deep work, like collecting data, and a lot of times when people are doing studies and things like that, it's very specific, right? And so, yeah, definitely the more partners that we can work with, the better for sure. So yeah, please let me know if you can think of any of those organizations. I'd love to find out who they are. Yeah. Okay, so, all right, guys, so we're almost at 10 to 6. So how are you guys feeling? Like talking more, or are you ready to go get some dinner? However you guys feel, it's up to you. I'm here for whoever wants to stay to talk. So
Yes, good. The other areas, because we only did that one, and you're doing, I mean, basically you're looking at it with this from 2017 for the other areas as well.
yeah, most of the data is probably as late as 2018 in a lot of
Okay.
cases. There are a few where agencies report out a little bit sooner, so we might have some stuff for 2019 and possibly, and I think maybe depending on what we actually highlight, like 2020 census data is available. And so, and that's like another resource that just over time, I'll be able to like just look through what they have and then extrapolate what's relevant for us and then add that info. So it's probably going to vary over this last 2 to 3 years. Yeah, and different agencies report out at different times.
I am noticing that the majority of information is numerical, quantitative data. Will the hub be able to like link any qualitative reports, like something from like the National Urban League, or some of those other reports where people try to say, hey, this is going on also? I mean,
Yeah,
something
that's
so that we can just, aside from just looking at numbers, we can know how to use them.
yeah. That definitely can, I think, be something added in terms of an expansion to the dashboards that are available. Because the way that I'm thinking about it is that I know that documents can actually be added to a dashboard, but it's a particular style or type of dashboard, like the way it's displayed. So yeah, definitely as like more of that comes up, and that's something that I can keep in mind. And we also, make sure that we have good relevant information in terms of documentation. So various studies probably and things of that nature, if folks would like to read those. So yeah, there's a way to add documents to a dashboard. With the way that these are set up, they're not really in the format to be able to add that. So definitely I'm looking at like an expansion of a 5th dashboard that could house documents specifically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great question. Yeah. So It's almost 6. So if you guys, I don't know if you're feeling like you want to wrap up or if you want to keep talking, you let me know what you want to do. And then if,
I don't know, but I
Yeah.
feel like that's thorough. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I certainly want to hear everything, but yeah, I feel like you've covered it.
okay. So then Tammy, would you mind kicking off our raffle then? And let's do
Yes.
that and then we can wrap up.
So we have how many raffles?
3.
So at this point, we have 3 participants.
All right. So
Everybody wins.
I did have this little nifty, you can't see it, but
Oh, nice. Okay, so we gotta keep that for our next
For-
events. I love
right.
that. All right, so everybody's a winner. So you
Yep.
show up
Yay.
and you walk
Crazy.
away not empty-handed.
Let's see
Right.
here. Do we have the contact information of everyone here?
Yeah, do you guys mind popping your emails into the chat real quick? And I think we have Dr. Lisa's email, so I have hers.
Yes. we do. Mhm.
And I'm not sure if I still have Ned's or not. Let me see.
I have Ned's email, and then I can shoot
Okay.
that to you.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Trying to
All
spell
right.
stuff right. I can't see.
Just gotta put on.
Yeah, so we
The-
have Ned, Karen, and Dr. Taylor. So we're good.
All right. I
Good.
love it. Everybody wins. So you guys will be getting a $25 gift card courtesy of Umoja Wellness and
Thank you.
Iman.
That's cool. Thank you.
Yes.
Food.
Right. So, on
Folks
that
are
note-
hungry.
I know. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us and bringing your questions, your suggestions, your ideas and everything. So really appreciate that so much. And I hope that you'll continue to join us on these events because we're going to be like moving the momentum on this. So the Data Hub is really just one aspect of the things that we're looking to do for our communities here. So I hope that you guys will feel comfortable navigating the hub, bringing questions, and also bringing your ideas and thoughts to the things that we want to do. So if anybody has any last questions, is everybody good? All right. Well, I guess we can call it done, guys. So thank you so much for being here. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Take care.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.